Deanna.
As a courtesy of my father.
That's even a better idea.
Lori's comment was she wanted to prune trees the right way. The best thing that I ever learned about pruning, first of all, I am not a professional, not an arborist, no. I have taken some classes. All right, I'm sorry. Hold it. Yeah. Okay. I'm not, what I've done is I've taken some classes, and I enjoy it, and I'm a little bit confident in it because of the things that I've learned and the trees that this has been in my car, so, you know. But the best thing that I ever learned about pruning was one of the teachers that I took it from said, pruning is kind of an art. And I was so excited about that because it's not math. I hate math. Math, you have to be exact. It's more like, you know, literature. Like, I can butcher the English language and you still know what I'm talking about. So if I was to talk to you in math, you would have no clue. It would be bad. So it's an art, and it's not. It doesn't have to be exact. There are rules. There's rules in literature. There's rules. You should follow the rules to make the best of your pruning, but it's still not going to be something that you're going to, you know, be cast into prison if you did wrong. So knowing that, let's go. I kind of want to. Well, I've got my little model here standing. I'm going to start with this. Will you put the first one up there? That word. Okay. I wish I'd had a black sheet. Because you can't really tell. I thought, oh, it'd be really great to have a before and after picture of my pear tree, so I did it yesterday. And this is before, but there's so much background, you really can't see the tree. But if you look, there's kind of more of a red cast here. And when you look over here, you don't see that as much. Anyways, I knew that didn't show up very well, so do the next one, because somebody else did it, and you can see it a lot better. So that's a before and after pruning. If your neighbor drives up in the driveway and says, oh, hey, it looks like you pruned your trees, it's probably not a compliment. They meant it that way, seriously. But if it looks like you just pruned your tree, you might have done it a little heavy. So you want the tree to look natural and look like a tree. And you need to kind of know what you want to do, have in mind. Do the next one. There's different kinds. So this branch, I know this is a branch, and you know this is a branch, but let's kind of pretend like it's going to be a tree. And before I do that, I have to talk about the tools. Obviously, there's tools in every thing there is. When you use a pruner, or what is this called? Flipper? I don't know.
Pruning shears.
Flipper.
Flipper.
It's anything you want. It's anything you want. Make sure you get a bypass one. There are ones that are called anvil. And the difference is the bypass, the bypass goes right on past, the blade goes right on past. The anvil cut stops with the crush thing. Okay, I know you're thinking, but Lori, it looks like you've used those a whole lot, and then I use these on my raspberries. Because it doesn't matter, they're dead. So it doesn't matter. So I use these on my raspberries, and I love them just because, I don't know, they just fit me. So I use those. But on a tree, you want to make sure that you do that. There are two different kinds of pruning. There's pruning a regular deciduous shade tree, and then there's pruning a fruit tree. Those two rules are different in some ways. Okay, so this is a fruit tree. And what we want to do, if you will the first thing you do, if you'll just go, look at your tree, cut out all of the suckers. Do you know what a sucker is? Or a water sprout. And because this is an older tree, right here, there is a water sprout. Okay, so you have to kind of know that this tree was, standing was coming out like that. So this is a water sprout. It would be going straight up. This is a water sprout. it'll not have any other growth on it. That's what was so all over, you know, the next one. That was what was so all over my tree, my fruit tree. Water sprouts coming up like crazy. Cut those all off. They're easy to identify, and you know you're not making a mistake. Cut those off. Cut off anything that's at the bottom. Cut off any broken branches. Cut those off. So we're just going to go through and this guy was broken, but he's got some pruning wood. So you know what the difference is? So these little things right here that are crinkly old guys, they've got little wrinkly things. That's where your fruit's coming. So you don't want to go through and cut off all these little crinkly things. That's the important stuff. So I don't want to cut off this fruit part of this branch and it broke. So I'm going to just come, this is actually last year's growth, stops right here. So I'm going to take an outward facing little knob thing and cut that off. And now the branch will heal. So there's, okay, go to the next one. This is about, I took a picture with this with my phone. There's different kinds. There's a central leader tree, there's a modified central leader, and then there's an open base. Those are just different ways your tree looks. It doesn't have anything to do with how it produces or what it does, and they'll sell, you know, the sun doesn't, it's no different. It's just a different look in a tree, and some of them are easier to make, so kind of look at your tree and see what it wants to be. If it wants to be a central leader, if it wants to be a modified central leader, and then go from there, because you really don't want to make it something that it's not, because you're going to have to prune a lot to do that. So, anyways, you can do the next one. This kind of shows you the stuff you keep and the stuff that you take off, and if you want to, okay, so there's three kinds of trees. There's a standard fruit tree. That's what your mom and dad's had. With great big apple trees. That's what this came off of. There's a semi-dwarf, and then a dwarf. And when you get those kinds of trees, it just depends on the room and what you have. My favorite is a semi-dwarf. You don't have to get a huge ladder to get up and pick them. But the dwarf tree, to me, takes up more room than the semi-dwarf. And the reason is because I can't get around it with my lawnmower. Because it's so short, and the branches go out wide, and so now, you know, you can't get around it. So like in this one, depending on how you cut it up, you can drive the lawnmower around that so that you can get around that tree, and it's not, it takes up less room, to me, less footage of space than the other one. Okay, so now I'm going to get back to my tree. So now I've come in here, and I've cut off all the water sprouts. And will you do that again? I'm thinking there might be one that tells. Can you go backwards at all? No, just go, keep going. One more. Yeah. So, one more. That. Yeah. There's a spot to cut a branch, and the reason is so that it'll heal. And I wanted to show you places on here of how they'll heal and how they won't. So here, right here is a branch that looks like it has died or been cut off or pruned wrong. And what happens is there's a stick sticking out here. I mean, it's dead wood right here. And this is a conduit to the tree. Like, you wouldn't think that it's that important, but it's really important. This is going to let all kinds of bugs and disease and whatever come right into the tree. So what you want to do is when you cut that off, and I don't know if I can because it's dead, but no, actually around that, I don't know if you can see, there's still green around that dead thing. So what's going to happen is this tree is going to heal itself, and it's going to grow this green layer over top of this and cover it up. So people will ask, you know, do you spray it to keep the bugs out, blah, 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 and you don't. That tree, now that it's like that, will just heal itself, and it will come around that, and it will heal it, and you won't have to put anything on it. Usually if you paint it or do something to it, then now the tree has to get rid of the paint to adhere to itself to fix that. So painting's not necessary if you've cut it right. Okay, so then the next thing you're going to do is try to figure out, okay, so when you cut that, I don't know if, there's a branch collar on every limb. Some of them are really easy to see, and some of them are harder. That one was pretty easy to see. Let me see if I can find the branch color. So, you see that it's just a little swelling at the bottom of the branch. This is a really good one right here. Yeah. Oops, off the box. Okay, so right here you can kind of see where this little branch collar is right here. And then there's a thing called the branch ridge. And it's a line that comes down here. Some of them on quickies, it's really, really noticeable on quickies where that branch ridge is. And so you just make a line, you just make a V, and your angle is going to be the same as that branch ridge. So when you prune it, you're going to want that angle to come off right at the end of that collar, and then you're going to prune that at that angle, which is a trick, because it's in there. And I'm pruning this branch because why? Look at it.
It's crossing.
It's crossing. Okay, so it's going off. Okay, then, so now that little thing is going to heal, and it's going to heal really nice. And I thought that I had seen one somewhere that will look, one that's healed really nice. Okay, so now you've cut off the water sprouts, you've taken all the broken branches off, you've cut all the branches off that cross each other. You could walk away, and your tree would be happy. I mean, you could seriously just do that much, and it's going to help you with your tree. But if you want to kind of shape it and do some stuff with it and make it a little better tree, then you just go from there. And that's just kind of what you do. You look at your tree and you decide what's gonna go and what's gonna stay, and you're gonna just keep cutting it until it gets to be what you want it to be. And there are good shaped branches at a good angle. 10 and 2 is a good angled branch. If the branch comes off at a 45, then you're not going to want it because it's a bad angled branch. That's if you already have a scaffolding branch. If you already have a branch there. So I probably wouldn't have cut that one off. I should have kept this one off. But once you start designing your tree the way you want it, and this is just about cut through that right there. Then stand back and look at it. Sometimes, so let's say I want to keep this branch. Let's say this branch is one that I'm going to keep. It's kind of a goofy angle. I want to keep it. But I kept it last year, and so this is the new growth to this 1 year. And this is another growth to last year. So this was last year. This was the year before. So this is a 3-year-old branch. So I don't want it to be a 10-year-old branch because it's going to be clear out there, and so I want to stop it. So what I do is find an outward-facing bud, because this is going to be the new leader of that branch, and just cut a little bit above that. You go to the next one. One more. See on a quickie, see how you can see that branch ridge so good? It's really obvious, and so where you cut it is super obvious. Okay, go ahead again. Okay, this is backwards, but all of those are wrong except for the end one. It's the A on the very end. So do you see where there's a little bud there? You cut just above that little bud. You don't cut right at it. You don't cut a ton above it. You cut just a little above that bud. And so now this thinks it's the end of the branch, and it's going to go off. So let's say I've got 2 branches coming off here, and I wouldn't do this, but I want to pick one of these 2 branches. And just because I can't find a better example, I'm going to use that. I want this to be the new end of the branch. Let's say it's going straight and this one's going crooked. I could make this the new end because of the size of it. But if it was a little tiny skinny stick, and this was big, I could find a better example. Okay, let's find it over here. So let's say you're coming off and the size of the branch is the size of your thumb. And you get to the end here. Okay, this is a pretty good one. This is a dead branch. Take that off. This is a fruiting thing, and it's not going to be anything. But anyway, so I come down this great big branch here, and I think, okay, that's where I want that tree to end, so I'm going to cut this off. And so I cut it here, And now there's this little tiny baby stick that is supposed to be the leader for this great big stick. And it's not going to play good. That's not going to work. But if I think it's a third the size. You can go down a third the size. But if you go down smaller than that, it's not a good enough end to make it take on and be the rest of the tree. So like this little guy is way too small to take this big branch right here. So you wouldn't make it the leader anymore. And you wouldn't, because that's a fruiting fir. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's kind of a bad, there might be better ones on there. Anyway, so let's say I love this branch, I cleaned it up, I spent 20 minutes on it cleaning it up, and I think, oh man, now that branch is just the way I want. I've cut off all the suckers, and I've cut it off, and I'm going to keep it, so I'm going to just kind of trim it back to this outward-facing bush or bud. And I love it. And then I stand back at the tree, and I've been 20 minutes on this branch, keep in mind. And I decided, I hate that whole branch. So I come back in, and I cut the whole branch off. And you know what? That's okay. You know, sometimes you do that. Sometimes you look at it and you think, that's just not fitting, I'm going to cut the whole branch off. And you can do that. So, anyway, I guess if I had to, I'm done. So, if I wanted to leave you with something, go home, go to the next one. That's just another place of where you cut it, because I think that's what people's most question is, whatever, is what do I do when the tree, you know, I've been growing it out, and now it's getting so long that all these branches are spindly, they're not going to hold the fruit. And that's what it is you cut that off at the end, at where you want that to go. And now this is going to be the next branch. Okay, so next one. Those are apples. You'll get such better apples. This is my delicious apple tree that died because I moved it. I mean, those apples are bigger than my fist. They were huge apples. Next one. That's just off of another tree. Go ahead. Oh, and then this is raspberries. Yeah, if you have a question about raspberries, this half has been cleaned. That half hasn't. I don't know if you can tell the difference. But,
Huge.
But raspberries, they're fun. They make raspberries that you can mow over with a lawnmower and they'll reproduce that year. I'm so getting some of them.
How far would you cut them back?
The raspberries? Okay, so raspberries produce on the top third of the plant, I learned after I pruned these for years. But for some reason, I do better if these are about chest high. If I let them go clear up in the sky and I'm pulling them down to pick them, I don't get near the fruit that I do if I prune about chest high. And I get tons of fruit.
Does it matter if you prune them in the fall?
No, you can do raspberries anytime. My leaves don't ever come off until it is really stinking cold, and so I hardly ever do it I've never done it in the fall. I do it always in the spring because I can see them. You can tell easy what's coming out and what's staying, and so I've always done it in the spring.
And when you prune your fruit trees?
Yesterday.
No.
Now.
Also, we were at a class, they said a third of your tree.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
take more than a third.
Don't. So the problem, usually with your little trees, you don't have that problem. You don't take that much. But when you get into a big tree that hasn't been taken care of, you moved into a house and there's this great big tree and you want to have it, so you go in there and just start hacking away. Don't take more. Like if you've got a branch, you've got 3 branches, great big branches on this tree. If you take one of those off, you're done for that year. Wait until next year. Come back in, take another branch. I mean, don't do that whole thing all at once, because all of the light is feeding the roots of that tree that it's getting from all of those leaves it's on. So when you cut that back, it doesn't have anything to feed itself with, because you've just eliminated half of its groceries. So, or more, if you cut it back that far. So don't do that. So what you're going to do is go home. You're going to look and see if you have any suckers, water sprouts, the suckers around the bottom. Take all those off and take the dead wood out, and anything that's diseased or whatever. Okay. Then you're going to be I'm done. I'm getting, okay. Any questions, girls?
These suckers from coming back from the ground.
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
I have no idea.
You just cut
If
'em.
you find out, let me know, because I hate them. Yes.
Also, he said, if you just planted a fruit tree, don't touch it for a couple of years.
No, you don't.
Don't prune it
The first
at
couple
all.
of years on a tree, let it get itself established before you kind of start changing it and making it something that you want it to be. Don't do that right off. That's a good point. So.
You should pull the fruit off of it the first year, please.
Oh, really? I've never done that. I've been
never
super
heard
excited about
When
it.
you plant it new.
Right, and if it's the
if
first
it's
year,
fruit, pull the fruit off.
I've never had one fruit the first year, actually.
I did.
Yeah, okay. All right, girls. Rhonda, what do I say about the meals? There's